Paranormal. It surrounds us. It's everywhere. Tonight, you will hear from the people who live and work within these highly active locations. All in the efforts to discover America's most haunted. With your host, ghost hunter and author, Dan Terry.
Good evening, boys and ghouls. I am Dan Terry, your ghost host with the most haunted, and we're doing it again. You know, guys, seriously, it's October. This is the heart of spooky season now. We're, honestly, I guess spooky season for me starts about July 5th, ends somewhere around the 24th, although Christmas has its ghosts. So we got a long spooky season here. But at any rate, we are in October. I'm sticking with ghosts this month and the paranormal like that. We'll get back to the UFOs and the cryptids and such conspiracies later. But for now, I got another team I want you guys to meet. Holly, and I hope I don't mess her last name up, Cataldo, started a group called Unique Paranormal. And her daughter, Shawnna, ran it and did great work. And these guys were doing some amazing places, going to some incredible, the kind of things on our bucket list. And unfortunately, Holly passed away a few months ago. Well, I guess almost a year ago. And her daughter has picked up the slack, taken it over, and she did kind of reform the group. And now she calls it Unique Paranormal 1.5. And again, neat stuff. Gettysburg, the Hinsdale House, the Madison Seminary, which I don't know much about that, but it sounds cool. And the 1912 Hoover House. And I'm not exactly sure what that is. It's a historic building. And I've asked her to come on and just talk a little bit about some of the things she's done and how she formed her group. So would you meet Shawnna?
Hey.
Shawnna, thanks for coming on.
Yes, thanks for having me.
You went through a bad time a little over a year ago. And how long did it take you to pick up the reins and keep going?
It was definitely rough. Everybody deals with grief differently. So for me, jumping into something that meant so much to my mom quickly actually is what has helped me during my grieving process. So basically, I'd say probably about a week after mom passed. Really close with a lot of people that were like family to her. Specifically at the 1912 Hoover House in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, and immediately felt like I needed to go down and be close to those people, which she loved so much. That was her home away from home, but it was more her home than her actual home. She just loved being down there. The people were amazing. I met so many wonderful people through her. And I don't even remember the actual specific instance that it happened. And I said, I'm going to just take mom's group and we're going to run with it and, create it in a positive light to keep her memory alive and do the number one thing that she loved so much. And that's how Unique Paranormal 1.5 was born.
Was you right there with her when she formed Unique Paranormal?
I was not actually. Her husband was a professor and he had been transferred to Boston. And mom had always been intrigued by the paranormal field and just couldn't find a niche for it. Like there was one thing that she had always said, I always meet so many people that are interested in doing this kinds of things, but people don't know where to look or who to reach out to. So it was just by a fluke. She was at a public event and ran into some really wonderful people that had a paranormal group. So she started doing some investigations with them. Okay. Then her husband was transferred to Westchester, where she had met a few other people. And that's where she formed the group Unique Paranormal 1. And she did a lot of things out in the Westchester area. I went out there, traveled out there because I lived about 3.5 hours from her. And we would do some things. We would, do things when she came up to visit me and the kids, and just kept going from there.
Well, I know it had to be rough, and all the respect for being able to do that. I'm not sure I could have.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So you've got a team. How many of the original members are still with you?
Well,
most of them.
Okay, so long story short, Mom had this team she formed in Westchester. She then later, because like I said, her husband traveled all over for work. They ended up landing in Kane, Pennsylvania. Okay. And then that's when she was bringing like some of her friends from Gettysburg. So Mom never really formed an actual group of set people.
Okay.
Basically, wherever she went, she invited people who were interested to do things, and everybody came along. So that's kind of how it went when she established herself in Kane. And of course, me and my daughter were involved all the time. We would bring friends. She met some friends up in Kane, kind of the same thing. Dave Haney he was from Keystone Paranormal. He would bring his group up there. We investigated the Kane Manor. So Mom had a very open door policy. She created the group, but anybody who ever wanted to join and come along was more than welcome. And that's kind of what we're doing here. We have about 6 or 7 team members who are steady with coming with us, but still, as Mom's policy was, anybody who ever wants to come along, they're more than welcome. And when we do pick some place to go, we just throw it up on the website, on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And whoever wants to come along, they're more than welcome to.
I like that. That's a really different way of doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. But have you noticed, and, my way was not totally dissimilar. I had a small group of friends that I would contact. Then we would do public ghost hunts and other people could come in. But how do you keep them from whispering and talking and being so problematic?
Well, I mean, non-discreetly, I think that because we have had quite a few people that come along with us that are like that. Yeah. And, respectfully so. I mean, I don't think anybody ever has a problem with like, hey, shh. And then they're quiet, or you just explain it to them like, hey, if there's too much talking, too much, whispering and haggling, we're not going to be able to capture any real evidence.
Right.
And then they usually will be like, oh yeah, okay. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But hey, we're all there to have fun and have a good time. And, if we get something, we get something. If we don't, it's a little disappointing, but it is what it is. It's sure. All in good fun,
Well, you sent me pictures of places, and let's start out with, I guess, this one.
Okay.
You all, your team, I guess, has now purchased this building. Tell me about this building.
So basically, me and my wife, Danielle, Mom always wanted to have an Airbnb. Yeah, but that's just a little out of reach for us right now. So we stumbled across this location in a town that I had never heard of. And once we started digging into it, the town itself has so much history. From originally being land to 4 different Native American tribes to, like I had mentioned to you earlier, a gentleman by the name of Prince Gallitzin. He was a Prince of Holland, originally from Russia. He became a Prince of Holland, and he came to this town and actually founded it in 1799.
Okay.
The house itself is over 200 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's in remarkable shape.
Yes. I mean, there's some little sketchy spots, we made sure at least it's safe and sound for everybody to go inside, but we investigated there for the first time a few weeks ago, and the activity is incredible. Not just the house, but the energy that's coming in from the town, the land. we're hoping people are going to love it, because we do, and it's going to be a pretty fantastic thing.
And have you been able to find out anything specific about the house itself?
Other than we believe it was built in 1863, I believe is what it was.
During the Civil War, okay.
Yeah, so I know, obviously, it was the first of 2 homes built in this town. We're not sure if it was actually the first or the second, but we know it was one of 2. Over the years, now up into like the early 1900s, the family that had resided there attached a barber shop to the end, and he was the sole barber of this town. So there's a lot of cool history that goes along with that. And then like a lot of affiliation with up the road, Schwab Estates. Prince Gallitzin founded the town, but then obviously needed some funding. So Schwab wanted in on that big scheme on that. So he helped build the church there, which is now I believe they call it a minor basilica.
Okay.
And there is actually Prince Gallitzin, the founder of the town, is buried in a tomb right out front of there that you can actually go down into. Schwab Estates is open from dusk to dawn, beautiful gardens. Then there's the tomb. They do actually have a small museum right next to the basilica as well that people can go in and visit during the day. Just so much history and so much energy in this little town. It's amazing.
And what is the name of the town again?
It's Loretto, Pennsylvania.
Loretto. Okay. I have not heard of it, but you said you hadn't either. So
yeah, I really hadn't. Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
This is the church you're discussing.
Yes.
All right. And
that would be Prince Gallitzin's tomb.
What have you done anything in there? Have you done anything? K2s?
Not yet. We have not. We've done most of our investigation at the house itself. And just getting that ready has taken up most of our time. But we're really interested to be able to go up there, even if we just take a little K2 meter, maybe a digital recorder. I'm sure we'll get some pretty interesting stuff up there too.
You mentioned that you thought the town was quite haunted, or at least a lot of energy like that.
Yes.
Do you know why?
I think because it's literally this little town in the middle of nowhere. And I think because of the things that have transpired in this town over hundreds of years, I recently had a close friend of mine, psychic medium, Reiki master Stacy Lee out there, and her husband Gary, to see what they thought. And she was just blown away. She was just like, there's just so many layers, like an onion, so much activity, so many different layers of different information. And she's like, I'm going to have to come back here 20 or 30 times to get through all of this. So that was exciting that someone else very active in the paranormal community felt the things that we were feeling there.
What I'm seeing here is an opportunity of a ghost tour eventually, when the people get to know you. If the town is as you all believe, then there's got to be some hauntings people would like to talk about.
Absolutely. I mean, that would be a great goal in the end. We figure we're just going to start off with, inviting people to come in, stay, investigate the house, walk around the town, just kind of check it out to see what people think about it. And if things can progress to something much bigger, that would be awesome.
Sounds like a good plan. I like that.
Yeah.
And this is the, I guess, walkway into the crypt, for lack of a better word. I guess that's what you'd call that, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And, like pictures don't even do this place justice. It's just so incredible. And now that is the fountain at the bottom of Schwab Estates, which is at the opposite end of town.
Now, Schwab Estate, how did Schwab get his money? Do you know?
Wasn't Schwab like part of the big steel mill business, the steel mill something? Okay. I don't know a whole lot about him. That's just what I've heard from other people. Okay. Multi-billionaire back in the day, a big part of the steel mills down in Pittsburgh and Johnstown, I believe. Okay. So big money Mongol guy that helped build this town.
And these gardens, you say all of this is places you can go and walk in.
Yes, that is part of Schwab Estates Garden. It's open, like I said, from dusk till dawn, and it could probably take you a good hour to walk through there. Tons of statues and monuments and just incredible things.
Mm-hmm. What's that building like? Have you talked to anyone there who might have a ghost story or something to?
Schwab Estates?
Mm-hmm.
No, you actually cannot go up into the mansion anymore because the monks actually live there. The monks actually do walk the grounds there on a daily basis. So
okay.
we did see a couple of them. They have a big greenhouse at the beginning of it, but no, we didn't encounter anyone there while we were there. Mm-hmm. I'm sure as time goes by, we'll meet more people, and this is a brand new thing for us. Like this is, mm-hmm. It came about 2.5 months ago, and we're in both feet running. So
is there heat and air conditioning in the house? There
is heat in the house. If needed, we do have an air conditioning unit that we can put in, but there is heat, so it will be open all year round.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how would people find out about that?
We will be putting it on all of our social media platforms here coming in the next couple of weeks. We're planning to launch it actually on Halloween. That's our goal. Halloween being Mom's absolutely favorite holiday that ever existed. I think that's the norm in the people in the paranormal field.
Yes,
but so that's our goal, is to launch that and open the books for booking on Halloween. We'll do some contests and some cool little things coming up. But yeah, that'll be on all of our social media platforms come Halloween.
And how far from this place do you live?
About 25 minutes.
Okay, it's not too far then.
No, not too bad at all.
Keep an eye on the place.
Absolutely.
Do you plan on having like get-togethers, like opening it up to the public and Halloween time next year, maybe?
As far as opening to the public, I mean, that like opening it for people to book investigations is just where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what happens. We're open for anything,
I just see a Halloween party there. You guys throw the Halloween party and
yeah,
with real ghosts and real ghost hunters.
That would be fun. I'm not sure though. Like it's right on the main strip of town, so
not a lot of parties there. Then I'm sure.
Yeah, well, not a lot of space for an overabundance amount of people. Okay. I mean, it does have a decent sized little backyard, but yeah. As much as I'd love to say, yeah, let's throw a 200 people party. That would be great, but not sure that could actually happen in that little town.
Okay, it makes sense. Just a thought. Yeah, so you all have done some really neat stuff. How was Gettysburg?
Gettysburg is amazing. Like I said, it's like the home foundation of family for me because Mom loved it so much, and I met so many awesome people there. When we go, we stay at the 1912 historic Hoover House in Waynesboro. James Wyrick is the owner of that, and Pam and Steve Berry run it. Mm-hmm. And they, like I said, they host the annual Gettysburg Battlefield Bash there in Gettysburg every year. It's a huge event that they raise funds for wounded warriors, veterans, kids with cancer. So that's an amazing time. We do that every year, but the Hoover House has become my also second home away from home with the family and the amazing people I've met there.
And what kind of history does that place have?
I mean, it's haunted for sure. I believe back in the day it was like a nursing care facility is what I want to say. But there's all different levels of magnitudes of activity in there. Specific people that come through all the time, and it's a great time.
You've been there overnights apparently, because you say you like to stay there.
Oh
What
yeah,
have you experienced?
we stay there probably 6 to 8 times a year. Probably.
Wow.
It only takes us about an hour and 45 to get there. And like I said, not kidding you, most of the people out in that area and that are affiliated with that place have become our family. We talk to them on a daily basis. Like, so it's kind of like the family comes there to get together. And, but as far as experiences there, trying to think of things in particular. Well, I believe it's the Hoover Suite is what we stay in a lot.
Okay.
And it was early in the morning, sun just coming up, laying in bed, you're laying there debating if you should get up or not. And it sounded as though either a marble or a quarter. To me, it sounded like a quarter rolled across the floor and then hit the baseboard and then kind of just fell over.
Okay.
That happened in our room. There's a room across the hall. I believe it's called the Holzer Suite. This recently just happened. One of our team members, because we don't like knowing stuff until we experience a lot of it ourselves.
Okay.
So they had a team member lay on the bed, and all of a sudden, and she's an empath, and all of these things immediately felt like somebody was sitting on her chest, and then they were like, okay. So it was like they were putting her to the test to try to get validation. And then there was a spot on the floor that they had her lay on as well. And she couldn't breathe. She couldn't catch her breath. Felt like she was kind of having a heart attack. We literally had to get her up and out of the room. So then come to find out when we were asking them, the history of that room, there was a man and a woman that had actually passed away in that room due to heart attacks. One, the woman in the bed, had died of a heart attack, I believe. And also the man that was there was a man laying in that specific spot on the floor. So those were things that we personally experienced there.
Okay. Was this all they both die at the same time, or was there?
No. Different times and different spots in these rooms. But these were things they had learned in the evidence that they had captured over the last couple of years.
Okay.
So I guess they were, like I said, it was like a test of validation to see if she picked up on what they did.
Do you have different experiences each time you go there?
Yes. Well, sometimes we go in and it's just like I will turn it off a lot just so I can just relax because we're getting away. It's kind of like a vacation for us. It's not always about ghost hunting when we go here. But something always happens. A door closes, a light turns on. You get a funny feeling. The one room you stay in, somebody always coughs all night long. So when we go, we're like, we don't want that room. We don't want that room.
You hear someone coughing.
No, it causes you to constantly cough.
Wow.
Like all night long cough.
Somebody with maybe a lung issue or
something. I'm not really sure. I know Jim knows. I think this was a new thing because the people that had stayed in the room prior to us, same thing to them. I know our friends Stacy and Gary had stayed in that room a while back. Same thing had happened to her husband. So when we had that experience in there, they were like, there has to be something to this.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was just the last time we were there. So I'm sure everybody's diving in, trying to get that figured out and see possibly what has happened in there.
So, and again, this place is called the Historic Hoover House.
1912 Historic Hoover House, and it is in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. It's a bed and breakfast. You can stay overnight. Pam makes a phenomenal breakfast. And they're wonderful, wonderful people. Okay. And it's about a 20-minute drive from Gettysburg.
All right. Well, sounds like a really great place.
Absolutely.
Hope you can get some more evidence from there, and maybe I can even get them to come on the show.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I didn't have anything to send you, but like I said, we've only been doing this a year. I didn't have any access to any of my mom's stuff that we had gotten in the past, and I'm just a lot of stuff. I'm just learning how to download stuff, how to cut stuff for audio, how to freeze frame things. Like I'm just learning how to do all of that stuff. So Hopefully this time next year I'll be much better and have some stuff for you.
Well, then we'll just bring you back. Let me know when you're ready. And it doesn't have to be during the Halloween season. Ghosts are here all the time.
That they are.
All right. Pardon me, Shawnna. I think your ghost just visited me.
Yeah, probably.
I am going to step back for a minute and run a quick informational, if you will. Okay. And if you'll wait there, I'll be right back, and we'll start talking about more about Gettysburg and some of the other places you've been in.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, be right back. Yeah, a new team, but they're not a new team. They're experienced, just a new leader. Be interesting. I'm surprised how many would have stayed and how many don't go off to form their own team. And that would be a testament to how well her mother did if they were willing to stay and help Shawnna to get started and get moving. That's pretty awesome. Speaking of pretty awesome, that was a really bad segue, I know. I want you to check these things out, and we'll be right back.
Unlock the mysteries of the spirit realm with the new book, Meeting Wallace. In this channeled work by renowned psychic medium Larry Costa, the reader will delve into the profound wisdom of his spirit guide, Wallace. Together, they share the transformative journey of harnessing psychic powers from the celestial plane. Discover the extraordinary psychic gifts that have empowered Larry on his path, and immerse yourself in a thought-provoking and awe-inspiring read. Meeting Wallace is a groundbreaking endeavor, and it is a perspective seen through the eyes of a spirit guide. Discover the wisdom of the spirit realm alongside actual photographs of ghosts and spirit guides. Get the book Meeting Wallace by Larry Costa at Amazon.com. Debbie Ziegelmeyer is an experienced diver, dive trainer, and UFO investigator who has researched sites around the world that have water-related UFO activity. That even the Pentagon admits that there are unknown objects in the skies and underwater around the world. Debbie compiled an amazing book to catalog many of these sightings. The Alien Colonization of Earth's Waterways, a reference guide to UFO, USO, water-related activity, has received rave reviews by UFO researchers and the public. The book is available at Amazon.com.
While most near-death experiencers return to this plane of existence with alluring tales of their time spent in the presence of the divine, what happens when one crosses the veil into the afterlife, into the void? In the new book, Dying to Meet Them, Mindy Toutfest describes her journey to the afterlife after a devastating aneurysm, how a strange turn of events would lead her to spiritual growth, divine healing, UFO experiences, and a greater understanding of the universe. Get your copy of Dying to Meet Them today at Amazon.com or visit unxmedia.com for more information on this book and more amazing selections from UnX Media Publishing at unxmedia.com.
Friends, there's always more to talk about, but if you haven't joined the UnX Network, why not? And, I always talk about this at the end of the show, and we will bring it up more in detail, but it is really simple. All you got to do is type in to your search engine, unxnetwork.com, go there, put your email address in. I think it's a little ways down on the first page, and there's so much stuff. The blog, you get access to the monthly newsletter and the magazine, and that all comes to you through the email. So you don't have to go down to the store. You don't have to spend a great deal of money for it. I think the magazines, I'm picking them up for $11, $12 a copy because I like paper. But you can get all of that and you're missing out. And there's so much interesting stuff. But again, we'll talk more about that in a little while. But let's get back to Shawnna and some of her stories, because she has learned from the best, her mom. And apparently she comes at this from an angle of being friendly with the people, both living and dead. You got to respect that too. So Shawnna,
Hey.
tell me more about Gettysburg. I hear so much. I haven't been there yet, but I hear so much about it, and it's all pretty positive, really.
It is. It's a fantastic place. If you've never been, I highly suggest that you do. There's just so much. You could never get to every spot.
Mm-hmm.
We have visited the Jenny Wade house. We did the orphanage up the road from there. And Sachs Bridge seems to be a big hot spot for a lot of people. We try to go there every chance we can. But like, even just driving around, you hit a back road, you'll come across another random covered bridge, or, you know, a little steel bridge that's crossing a creek and leads to some trails. Like, even just, there's just so much. There's just so much everywhere.
The battlefield was huge, I know, and there was so many people killed, so many Americans killing each other out there.
Yeah.
There's got to be a psychic scar on that land. Have you come across any haunts or anything?
I have not. I personally have not. Mom visited there a lot. Her and one of her friends spent several weekends every summer driving around. They did the tour like millions of times, and just trying to take in the information and comparing it to what they were sensing and feeling. I know Devil's Den, I believe is what it's called.
Yes.
She really enjoyed going there. So just tons of places. She just always said that was her favorite place to be. So much activity, so much spirituality. And sadly, she did have a lot of things captured that have gotten lost, but she was always so excited to, rush home and show us and tell us her stories and the pictures, and, so-and-so sensed this, or so-and-so caught this on camera. And it was the highlight for her. That's why, and that's why Gettysburg's so important to me, not even just because of the history there. But like I said, the people and the experiences, and knowing how happy it made her, just makes you kind of feel nice and cozy when you do go there.
Well, you'll have to get back there soon and make your own memories and
I will. We get to the Hoover House a lot, but actually getting down into Gettysburg, there's always something calling us back home, or, we have a 32-acre farm here with too many animals to count. And, I breed puppies, occasionally here and there. And it's never ending. We're constantly going, and now booking things for the group, and now this house. And we do vending events selling crystals to raise money for the group. And so it's a whirlwind for sure.
Yeah, I understand that. It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Okay. You sent an interesting picture. I think let's start with this one.
Yeah.
Where is this at?
Oh shoot, I sent it to you. Mount Holly, New Jersey.
Okay.
It was a prison up there, I believe.
Okay.
And I think I sent you that. I can't for the life of me remember the name of the place. But a team member of ours was investigating this place with some friends, and went outside for a smoke break, and just decided to randomly shoot some pictures. And later, when she got home, she had come across this image, and then reached out to someone she was there investigating with, who had confirmed with her that shadow people were very commonly captured in this courtyard where she was.
Okay.
So, and she said she was 100% alone. There was only the small group of them that were inside. So she was pleasantly shocked when she saw that photo.
Okay. So this was a jail or prison of some sort.
Yes.
And this would have been the courtyard. You think there was hangings or something going on like that there?
I know absolutely nothing about this place.
Okay.
I just today when I was talking to her and I was like, hey, you need to send me that picture again of that shadow person that you guys caught out there. Because they're part of our team, but they live in New Jersey, so they do little things on their own out there.
Of course.
So we all share things with each other, and I was like, that was a really cool capture. I'd love to share that with Dan. And so she sent that to me again, and I've never captured anything like that yet. So she's got one up on me for sure.
There's so much you can see here. That could be somebody in a cloak, like a monk, or it could be just a large person.
It was odd to me too that it's so solid at the top.
Yeah.
But as it goes down, it kind of like gray fades right into the ground.
Right. I noticed that also. I wonder how tall that whiter area is. That would give us a clue of how tall this thing was, because he's really close to the wall.
Yeah, I'll have to ask her. I'm not really sure on that. I mean, going by, like, there's a little window right there to the side that probably doesn't look real big.
Yeah.
And then, the more elongated window right up ahead. So I'd say, probably between 5 and 6 feet if it was my best guess.
Do you see almost a shadow on the wall that thing is casting?
I do.
So you've got a shadow person casting a shadow. That's a new one on me. I've seen hundreds of shadow people.
Yeah, it was either that or we kind of conquered that up to, like, because she had the flash on the camera going. So unless it was like something reflecting off of something maybe back here, or there's always just so many scientific brain wise to try to explain it away or what it could have been. And so
and I understand. I also know during the early days of ghost hunters they were so intent on explaining things away that a ghost was actually a much more logical explanation than the car lights from way down there are reflecting off the tree and then kind of coming off this. No.
Oh, yeah. I love it, too. We've had a couple skeptics join us lately, and they're like, nope, don't believe in that stuff. And so we're like, well, just come along to prove us wrong, then. Like, you can give us the sign. You can help us explain it away. And the last 2 people that have come along with us have left. And I would say, hey, what do you think? Are you still a non-believer? And the last gentleman was like, you definitely have my wheels spinning for sure. So I love that. That's super cool. At least have them thinking in a different way.
Do you use dowsing rods?
We do.
I have found because that's my favorite, and handing someone a set of dowsing rods is wonders, because they know they're not moving it, and yet it's moving in their hands.
Yes.
I even now on one of my ghost tours, I use dowsing rods, and it really a lot of skeptics have turned into believers right there, because they're not moving.
The number one tool for us that gets people is the mag light.
I have seen that done. I've been in the room when it's done. I don't use that, but I can see why.
Yeah,
but I've also
dowsing rods and the mag light are probably the two things that we use the most.
Okay. The mag light is an interesting one. What kind are you using? Push button on the bottom or
a twist?
The twist type. Okay.
Yep, the twist.
All right, I've seen those too.
Twist. Yep.
And that we've talked about. Now this house, the Hinsdale
house.
And I have interviewed several people who've been there, who's investigated it. I do not know the history of that house.
Oh my. So you've never been there?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm a Midwest boy. I was in Missouri most of this time, or Kansas or Arkansas.
Definitely needs to be on your bucket list for sure.
All right.
So this was my first time here, and this actually was a place that my mother wanted to go to, but never had a chance to make it there. So I made it my goal that after she passed, that was going to be the first place I went. So, and that's exactly what we did. So, and I think it was in May. She had passed in September, and when the weather broke, we went. I believe it was in May, and I think that it was a group of 5 or 6 of us went up there. Didn't really know a whole lot about the place, like on the drive, you're like trying to Google some stuff just to get a little bit of insight of what other people have experienced here.
Sure.
And so we were going in fairly blind. And the setup, Daniel Kloss is the one that owns this place, and it's incredible. He gives a lot of history inside of the house for you, but doesn't give away what you'll be experiencing. So what we had gotten personally, we had a lot of activity in the basement there. It's your old school stone stacked basement. Definitely a very dark energy down there. We did catch an audio EVP of a growl down there in the midst of us having a conversation. There was one team member that was very uncomfortable and actually had to excuse herself from the space. We're very big on that too. If at any moment you're not feeling safe, you're not feeling comfortable, it's okay to just remove yourself from the situation, 100%. So she had to do that. And later we had found that probably about a minute and a half before she actually excused herself, there was some conversation happening and there was a very distinct low growl caught on our digital recorder. So that was interesting. Lots of activity everywhere. Not a whole lot that was relatable to the house. Lot of again Native American history up there.
Oh, okay.
I just recently found this out on somebody previous who I was talking to, that they had heard something about skinwalkers being in the woods up there, and I had just nonchalantly was talking to him about that. We had picked that up, and we saw a lot of shadow movement. We had seen a lantern lit back up in the woods. There's nobody around there for miles.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure one of our teammates has a picture of that light flicker flame in the woods there. Again, once we sensed that there were skinwalkers there, we had 2 team members that bolted and got out of there.
I'd be heading for the woods. I want to see this.
Yeah. Well, and that's what some of us did. So some of us, stuck around to see what we could get, and a couple people had to remove themselves from the situation, which is 100% fine.
Sure.
But yeah, definitely lots of energy on the grounds and in the woods there, for sure.
What kind of history does the house have? Is this a site of a murder or a cult, or what's?
I don't necessarily think murder. I think it's just the haunting of the house and the land itself drove families out of it.
Okay.
So there was a family that was in there that so much stuff was happening, and the hauntings and the, all kinds of things. And don't quote me because I'm not a historian. This is all just things that I've heard. But that families were basically, they were like, yeah, nope, we can't deal with this anymore, and we're out. There was, I believe, said to say that there was a girl that had self-inflicted, passed away. And I don't know what words I'm allowed to use on here or not.
Oh, suicide is suicide. Yeah. It's a shame. But
supposedly had killed herself. And there was a younger gentleman there, not really sure what his story was. But apparently it was like a mother and a father figure, and I believe 3 children that had resided in the home, but then basically was like, we can't stay here. And then they left, and then the house was empty, and somehow Daniel stumbled upon it and purchased it, and obviously now is open to public investigations all the time.
Okay. And you've been there, but your mom didn't make it.
No, she didn't make it.
She certainly wanted to.
She was there with us. She's made it known on quite a few things that we've done that she's there. So
can you
that's
tell me?
And that's great.
Can you say how you know that? Just a feeling, or was there a?
One is based on feeling, because for the longest time I didn't feel her presence at all, and I couldn't understand why. I've always had a sense for that. I've always had empathic abilities. I've always been very sensitive to things. After she passed away, I started like developing these senses where I actually could hear things and see like stories playing in my mind when I'm at certain locations. So that's all new to me, trying to sort that out. But I wasn't sensing her around at all. So, I was kind of explained to myself, like, she's got other things she needs to do. Obviously, other people that need her more than I do. But I think I wasn't ready for it. So my mind was kind of shutting that out. So as I healed and started doing these works through her in her honor, I think that helped me break that wall down a little bit and be more receptive to her. And basically it is now I feel her, or I hear her in my head, because she always called me Boo. And I would I hear her voice say, I'm here. And then I would ask out loud, Mom, are you here with us tonight? And a K2 would go off. Or, we have a light stick that we bought at the bash that we hadn't had any success with it at all. And that lit up once. When we did the Madison Seminary, same thing. I just got this overwhelming feeling that she was there with me. And again, audibly asked her if she was. And K2, just as soon as I was getting it out of my mouth, lit up. So it's a humbling feeling to know that she is with me, and she'd be so geeked with all the cool things we're doing.
I was doing a helping with a charity ghost hunt down in Kansas, and a guy wanted to use the rods, and he was this big, huge, muscular biker guy.
Yeah.
And he was getting to the point where he was calling me a fake, because everyone else was having access with the rods. We was actually in the Wizard of Oz Museum.
Oh, wow.
And everyone else was getting contact, and nothing would happen for him. And, some people can go in with a point and shoot and get something every time. And some people can get an EVP every time, and the rest of us can't. It's just whatever. We went to the next building, which was the basement of the Columbia Theater. And I was talking to some spirit with the rods, and he started asking questions, and then he asked if he could use them. I gave them to him, and he was obviously nervous. I said, you can think the questions. You don't have to speak out loud if it bothers you. Within 5 minutes, I've got this big guy in a fetal position crying on the floor.
Oh, no.
And he was finally able to tell me that he'd been trying to reach his friend who had suicided sometime, a year or more before.
Yeah.
And he'd been trying every way to get in touch with him. And what really dropped him is when he said, is my dad with you? And he got a positive response, and man, down he goes. Yeah. But the ghosts will come to you when you're ready.
Yeah.
Because you may not have been prepared for that yet.
Yeah, true.
And I think that was him. And I went to another one there in Missouri and was doing a charity ghost hunt. And two different people had family members coming through.
Yeah.
One guy had his ghost come through that he didn't even know. He found the body on the road and stayed with it till the police got there. It had been a part of a hit and run.
Yeah.
And he said, I found it. I stayed with it. The police got there. I told them what happened. I left. The guy come through 3 years later to say thank you.
Oh, that's amazing.
But he would not have been ready for that until the right time. So
it's crazy to me. Like every time we experience something new or go someplace new, we're constantly learning new things.
Yeah.
New ways that spirit communicates, new ways to communicate with them. Like, hey, you might walk in somewhere and you're going to get absolutely nothing, like you said. Or sometimes you're going to And it depends on your mindset when you walk into these places.
Yes.
You know, so it's a whole spectrum of learning for sure.
People can say they have an open mind, but you don't know how. You got to be open to new techniques and new ways as well, because
Yeah.
you and I talking totally different from other people who talk. They just need a little more prodding, or they need to be calmed down a little bit.
Yeah.
It just goes through the same way.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you are really on the cusp of a new hobby that's, I think you're finding out, is going to be incredible for you.
I'm super excited. Like
You sound it.
It's like a new addiction for me. Like I eat, sleep, drink, breathe it. I love it. It feels good. And, it just feels like it's the right thing for me to be doing. And I couldn't be more excited about it.
Well, if you ever get some more evidence, you get something that you just really want to show the folks, or if you have charity events, when I used to do a lot of animal charities, I love the fact your friends do the veterans. I'm really big on veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And each group, almost every group that I deal with, has something they feel very strongly about. Whether it's Ferals in Peril, which is the one I was doing because some friends got me into it, or whatever.
Yeah.
When you got things going like that, let me know and we'll get it out for you.
Absolutely. Like I said, we're kind of like paranormal newborns right now. So we're excited. We're building up, and hopefully someday we will. Someday soon, hopefully, we'll be able to divulge into something like that. And
I have no doubt. I started in '79, and you make me a little jealous that you're just starting now, because we didn't have all this neat equipment then.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Shawnna, you are excited about it, and it's great to see that kind of enthusiasm.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Well, my best to your team.
Thank you.
To your mom next time you see her around or have her close to you. And remember to come back and let me know if you get some great evidence you want to show, and we'll bring you back, okay?
Absolutely. Sounds fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. And that is Unique Paranormal 1.5 on Facebook and TikTok.
Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
All right. Well, we'll let the folks know about that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Shawnna, take care of yourself, all right?
You
Stay
too.
in touch.
All right.
It is so cool to see a new group coming in, new people, and they get so excited about this. It's a lot of fun. So, again, it's Halloween. Folks, I want you all to enjoy that because it only comes around for about 3 months out of the year. Joining the Onyx Network, though, is good all year long if you're into this thing, and no matter what you're into. Cryptids, we've got some great people and some great shows about it. Ghosts, several. Mine is just one of several of them, including Michelle Roos, who is the founder of, I always get the Riverside, Iowa Paranormal. She's got some really good stuff going. She's an exorcist and all this. Does great work. We've got UFO people, some of the big names like Robbins, really the big time folks in the UFO field. Again, cryptids, conspiracy, and all you got to do is join up because it's all free. And when you do, like I said, you get the blog, which comes out sometimes a couple times a day, usually a couple times a week. But you get the neat stuff that's going on when the Tic Tacs UFOs were being seen. A few months ago, Mothman was seen over the Missouri or Mississippi River. Just always whatever's going on. You remember, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, the cubes, UFO that were shaped like cubes, like Star Trek's board, was being seen all over the world. So constant updates on things like that. There is the monthly newsletter, which also covers what's going on and a little more in depth, and the magazines, which comes to you by email. And these have some great writers. This one here on the left, as you can see, the darker one, It's got a big story about the Missouri witch hunts. It was actually an Indian tribe that was hunting their own witches. I had a story on the battleship North Carolina, which is very haunted. Also had a story in there about Halloween traditions, Halloween legends. And the other one was mostly time travel, although there were other subjects. There's always other subjects in these. And so much more. I recently did two issue articles on vampires. First was vampires in the USA. The other one was vampires in New Orleans. So we have that. I've done them on conspiracies, government conspiracies, and I actually proved where they happened. And so there's a lot of stuff there. All you got to do is join up. It's free, and you get that sort of thing. What are you waiting for? It's simple. onxnetwork.com, drop down and put your email address in, and that's pretty much all it takes. Okay, my friends, there's so much more I could talk about, but I know you're wanting to move on to the next story, so I'll ask you all to enjoy Halloween. God, I love this time of year. Enjoy Halloween, stay cool, and I think most important of all, friends, is to stay spooked. Good night.